My fiancée slept with my ex during her bachelorette party. Texted me saying she's keeping the $80,000 ring as a clean break gift. So I calmly put every wedding bill in her name and watched her world collapse piece by piece. I'm Leo, 32 male, and until a week ago, I was engaged to a woman named Miranda. We were supposed to get married in just 3 months. Everything was planned. The venue, the caterer, the band, even the invitations that cost me $1,500 for a box of cream-colored cardstock. I remember sitting in my condo that night, surrounded by the quiet that comes after a long day, when my life split apart in a single text message. It was Thursday, 11:17 p.m., and Miranda was away in another city for her bachelorette party, a 3-day weekend celebration with her friends, organized by her maid of honor, Becca. I didn't mind her going. I trusted her completely. I was probably half asleep playing a video game when my phone buzzed and her name lit up the screen. I picked it up, expecting something silly, maybe a drunk message from her laughing about how much she missed me. Instead, what I read burned itself into my mind forever. Her message said, "Hey, so this is super awkward. LOL. But I ran into Julian. Ended up back at his hotel and we accidentally slept together. It just made me realize I'm not over him. We talked all night and we're getting back together. Sorry this is so last minute. We're flying to the coast tomorrow so I won't be back." For a moment, I just stared at it, thinking my eyes were playing tricks on me. Accidentally slept together. Those words looked like a joke written by someone else. My heart didn't start racing, my hands didn't shake. Instead, everything inside me went cold, completely still, like my blood had been replaced with ice. I read it again, then again, trying to process what I was seeing. Before I could even begin to understand, another text came through. "By the way, I'm keeping the ring. It's a clean break gift and I can probably use it for my future with Julian. Don't try to contact me. It's better this way. Becca will swing by for my stuff sometime next week." I remember blinking at that line. I'm keeping the ring. The $80,000 custom 3.5 carat ring that she had picked out herself. The one she had absolutely fallen in love with at a luxury jeweler. And that's when everything snapped into focus. Miranda was obsessed with appearances, status, luxury, image. She worked in luxury branding, and every part of her life revolved around looking successful, even if she was drowning in debt to do it. I remember that day at the jeweler so clearly. The store was elegant, almost intimidating. She'd walked in like she owned the place, dressed in designer clothes and wearing a smile that could convince anyone she was richer than she actually was. "Leo, darling," she'd said, running her fingers along the display case. "It's my ring, so I want it on my credit. I'm building my portfolio, and having a high-limit line from a place like this will look incredible." I, being the supportive fool in love, nodded and said, "Whatever makes you happy." She opened the store credit line in her name, and the $80,000 charge hit her account that very day. We made an agreement. It was her debt, her status symbol, but I would gift her the monthly payments as my contribution. I even set up a recurring $2,500 payment from my bank account directly to her jeweler's credit line. We had been paying it for 4 months. I looked back at her text again. "I'm keeping the ring." And that's when I typed my response. Just one word, "Thanks." That's all. She must have been confused, but I didn't care. I opened my banking app, found the recurring payment labeled Miranda Ring, and canceled it instantly. Then I opened my email. I attached the latest PDF statement from the jeweler and typed a short message. "Per your text, our arrangement is over. This is all yours now. Thanks." I hit send. It was almost midnight, but sleep was the last thing on my mind. I walked around my condo, trying to process everything. I bought this place 5 years before I even met her. My name is the only one on the deed, on the mortgage, on everything. She was just a tenant who paid me a small, below-market rent for utilities. So the first thing I did was open the smart lock app and change the access code. Then I emailed my brother's divorce lawyer, a man named Alex, with the subject, "Urgent, broken engagement/asset protection." I wrote, "She has left the state with her ex and has no claim to the property. Please call me in the morning. Once that was done, I turned to the wedding plans. I opened the shared spreadsheet we had been using. The numbers looked like mockery now. Caterer, $20,000. Venue, $30,000. Band, $8,000. We'd already paid about $15,000 in non-refundable deposits, all from my accounts. That money was gone. Just like that, I spent the next hour emailing every vendor we had booked, writing the same message over and over. Per the dissolution of my engagement, I am canceling the event scheduled for date. I understand all deposits are non-refundable. Please confirm cancellation. I hit send on every one of them. The only other thing we shared was a streaming service bundle, which was, of course, under my name. I logged out of all devices and changed the password. By 2 a.m., everything was done. Every connection between us, financial, digital, and emotional, was severed. I looked at the box of wedding invitations sitting on the dining table, beautiful cream-colored envelopes embossed with our names. I picked up the whole box, walked to the building's recycling chute, and dropped it in without a second thought. I slept for maybe 3 hours that night. When I woke up, the silence in the condo felt different. It was still quiet, but this time the quiet didn't hurt. I made coffee, sat down, and saw that my lawyer had already replied, scheduling a 9 a.m. call. I was out $15,000 in deposits, plus $10,000 I had already paid toward her ring. A $25,000 lesson in trusting the wrong person. But I knew this wasn't over. The real show, as I suspected, would start when the next ring payment came due in 5 days. Somewhere out there, Miranda was probably on a plane with Julian, admiring her $80,000 ring, completely unaware that her credit line was about to send her a very polite, very firm payment due notification. And all I could do was sit back and wait. I sat there for what felt like hours, just staring at the blue light from my phone screen, trying to piece together what had just happened. It was like watching my future collapse in slow motion. Every dream, every plan, every promise turning into dust right before my eyes. My name is Ethan. I'm 31 years old. And up until that moment, I honestly thought I was one of the lucky ones. I had a stable job, a decent home, and a fiancé I believed I'd grow old with. But life has a cruel sense of humor, doesn't it? It has a way of waiting until you finally relax, until you finally think you're safe, and then it rips the ground out from under you without warning. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat on the edge of the couch, hands pressed against my face, replaying every conversation, every laugh, every moment that had ever passed between Miranda and me. I remember the day I met her like it was yesterday. She walked into a friend's birthday party in this deep green dress that made everyone else in the room fade into the background. She was charismatic, smart, and knew exactly how to hold a room's attention. I thought she was the most beautiful person I had ever seen. Not just in the way she looked, but in the way she carried herself, the way she talked about her dreams. We fell in love fast, and I thought we were building something real. I thought she was the person I could finally trust after years of keeping my guard up. But as I scrolled through her message over and over, I realized that the woman I thought I knew didn't exist. That text, that cruel, heartless, thoughtless text, wasn't just a betrayal. It was a confession that the last 4 years of my life had been a lie. And the worst part was the way she said it, like it was a casual inconvenience, like she'd spilled coffee on my shirt and was apologizing for the mess. It just made me realize I'm not over him. Those words kept echoing in my head until I could practically hear them whispering every time I closed my eyes. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to smash something, but I couldn't even muster the strength. Instead, I just sat there in silence, the room heavy with the weight of everything that had just been destroyed. My mind began to wander to the engagement ring sitting on her finger.
$82,000.
$80,000 of my hard-earned savings. I remember how she'd pressured me into buying it. She wanted it custom-made, claimed it was the only way she'd ever say yes. I thought I was making her dream come true. Turns out, I was just financing her next love story. At some point, the sun started to rise, casting pale light across my living room, and that's when the numbness started to fade. It was replaced by something sharper. Something cold. It wasn't rage, not yet. It was calculation. I remember thinking, you want to keep the ring? Fine. But if she thought she was walking away with my money, my dignity, and my peace, she had another thing coming. I opened my laptop, scrolled through our old wedding invoices, and began making notes. The venue deposit, the caterer, the photographer, the planner, every single payment I had made, every expense that had been charged to my name. It all added up to just over $80,000, the same price as that ring she claimed as her clean break gift. It was almost ironic, the kind of symmetry that makes the universe feel poetic in its cruelty. I sat there, fingers hovering over the keyboard, and for the first time in 12 hours, I felt a smile tug at my lips. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the kind of smile that comes from realizing you're done being the victim. When I finally got up from that couch, I knew exactly what I was going to do. The morning after that message, I walked into work with dark circles under my eyes and a calmness that made my coworkers keep their distance. Everyone knew something was off. I didn't talk much, I didn't have to. Inside, I was rehearsing every step of what I planned to do. For 4 years, I had paid for everything. The wedding venue, the dress, the catering, even the photographer she'd insisted was a family friend, but who still charged me full price. And yet, she had the audacity to tell me she was keeping the ring. The same ring that represented my trust, my effort, and every ounce of love I had left. That evening, I sat down at my desk with a stack of papers spread across it. Receipts, contracts, and payment confirmations, all in my name. I contacted every vendor involved with the wedding. I told them to send their final invoices directly to Miranda's email, under her name, with her contact number. I even drafted a legal transfer letter indicating that she was responsible for all remaining balances due to a change in the primary contracting party. It sounded professional, cold, even, but every word was sharp enough to draw blood. Once the documents were ready, I forwarded them all to her personal and work email with a simple message attached. Since you're keeping the ring, it's only fair you keep the costs that came with it. The total comes to $80,000. Congratulations on your new life, Miranda. I hit send, and for the first time since her text, I took a deep breath. I walked out onto my balcony, the evening air cool against my skin, and felt something close to peace. It wasn't closure, but it was power. The power of taking back control of a situation that had tried to break me. A few hours later, my phone buzzed relentlessly. Dozens of missed calls. First from her, then from Becca, then from a number I didn't recognize. I ignored every single one. Finally, she sent me an email. It was short and panicked. What the hell is this, Ethan? You can't just do this. These bills are in my name now. People are calling me nonstop. You're being immature. Grow up and move on. I laughed. Actually laughed out loud. The kind of bitter, disbelieving laughter that comes from watching a liar lose control. I typed back one sentence. You wanted a clean break. Consider this financially and emotionally balanced. Then I blocked her. Everywhere. Over the next few days, I heard from mutual friends that her life was unraveling fast. The vendors were calling her constantly for payment. The venue threatened legal action for breach of contract. The photographer shared screenshots of her angry messages on social media. Even her family got dragged into it when the florist contacted her mother directly for the outstanding balance. Becca tried to step in and help, but from what I heard, that friendship fell apart too. 2 weeks later, a mutual friend ran into Miranda and Julian at a cafe. Apparently, Julian had no idea she was still engaged when she slept with him. When he found out about the engagement ring and the financial mess that followed, he walked out on her in the middle of the street. She tried to call me again that night. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The universe was doing the work for me. In the following months, I focused on rebuilding my life. I sold the condo we were supposed to move into and used the money to travel for a while. I went hiking in Colorado, spent a month in Japan, and learned how to find peace in solitude. Somewhere between mountain peaks and train stations, I realized something important. Revenge isn't about hurting the other person. It's about reclaiming the power they took from you. It's about standing tall when they expect you to crumble. When I finally got back home, I took the old engagement contract, folded it neatly, and set it on fire on my balcony. I watched the flames eat away at the paper until there was nothing left but ashes floating in the air, the last traces of a future that never was. Now, whenever I think about Miranda, I don't feel anger. I feel gratitude, because if she hadn't betrayed me so cruelly, I might never have discovered my strength. I might never have learned that walking away calmly can be the loudest form of revenge. So to anyone reading this who's ever been betrayed, don't chase closure. Don't beg for explanations. Just take your power back quietly. Let karma handle the rest. And if you enjoy stories like this, tales of betrayal, strength, and sweet revenge, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Because sometimes the best way to heal is to watch karma do what it does best.